everybody, I'm here with Matt Nielson of Select Group Realty, and he is a realtor in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. And we've connected through Instagram and I feel like become friends through social. So I appreciate that you are here today, Matt, to talk to us.
Absolutely, Liz.
About real estate. It's very exciting.
Indeed.
It's been busy, hasn't it?
It's been a crazy, crazy year, that's for sure. So
everybody here is moving that direction. So do you feel like
there is
a lot of California people?
We've had a ton of Californians move in. A lot of it was kind of COVID related. And then I think with people kind of being able to live anywhere they want now, working from home, they're like, hey, we'll live in Utah and ski and hike and rock climb, and we'll just check in Silicon Valley or wherever we work and be able to afford a house much easier too.
That's true. Although it's getting expensive out there.
It is, yes.
The median price range where you're at?
About $500,000.
Okay, and if you get a $500,000 house, what does that look like?
That would be in Salt Lake County. Salt Lake is the largest city in northern Utah, and just kind of give you an idea to the population base. Utah has roughly 3.5 million people, but 2.5 million of them live along what's called the Wasatch Front. In Salt Lake County, it's made up of 3 or 4 counties. So in Salt Lake County, that would get you $500,000. If you're on the east side of Salt Lake, that actually won't get you a whole heck of a lot. That would be probably an older home, built in the 60s or 70s, maybe a split level, maybe needs some work. If you're even lucky, in certain parts of Salt Lake, you could maybe get something a little bit nicer for $500,000, but really anything 3-bed, 2-bath that's like 2,000 square feet or bigger is probably pushing $550,000, $600,000 now or more.
Gosh, crazy.
Yes.
Have you always done real estate?
So I've been in real estate full-time now for about 10 years. I actually grew up in Southern California. I went to college at Brigham Young University. And then when I graduated, I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. So I was selling prescription drugs in Texas, and I did it for a while in Vegas. And then when I moved to Salt Lake about 13 years ago, I started flipping houses on the side. Like, this sounds corny, but like I remember watching all the flip shows back in like 02, 03, 04. And I thought, man, that looks awesome. And like everybody, I thought, oh, it looks easy too. And of course it's not. But so I was, when I got to Salt Lake, I started flipping houses on the side, and just my kind of pharmaceutical career just kind of came to an end, got laid off, and I decided it was time for a change. So I went and actually became a licensed agent and started to flip a little bit more, but kind of shifted gears and became an agent and just obviously representing other people. So I specialize in just residential sales, listings, helping buyers. And then I flip about 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5 homes a year.
Okay, that's pretty good. Well, that's what kind of how my connection, or just what I noticed more, is you guys do a lot on your Instagram. So you and your wife. And
yes.
A lot on your Instagram. What's your Instagram name?
Matt Nielson Realtor.
Oh, I thought it was Flippin' Realtor. Maybe.
My handle is Matt Nielson Realtor, and like, what's the subtitle, whatever it's called, The Flipping Realtor.
Oh.
And credit to my wife for coming up with that. So.
Yeah, but what stood out to me is maybe a little different than, other realtors, because there's a lot of y'all out there, was the flipping side of things. So do you help buyers find flips too, or these are your personal flips, or both?
Great question. So the majority of I would say I occasionally help clients find investment properties. And sometimes those investment properties are, homes that need to be flipped. And so I do that, but I think on the straight realtor side, I probably help people just buy, regular owner occupied homes or just rentals and that type of thing. And so and then the stuff that I buy, I occasionally will then, sell it off to somebody else before it's been renovated. But the stuff that I buy, I sometimes still find deals on the MLS, I find deals, via the wholesale route. I don't know if I assume there's plenty of wholesalers in your area in California, estate sales and that type of thing as well.
Oh, so how do estate sales lead to a flip?
Well, just meaning, an elderly person is, going to go to assisted living, or, they have passed away and the adult children are selling it. Like right now, I'm working on a property in Salt Lake County. It's basically a city called Mill Creek. I bought one property and been working on it. And the guy that was working for me saw that the house next door, there was some activity, and an elderly woman was maybe getting ready to move out. So we just approached them. We said, "Hey, are you guys moving?" And we were talking to the adult children, and they said, "Yeah, it's time for mom to go to an assisted living center, and we're going to kind of start thinning the house out." And so I just hit them up and I said, what are you going to do with the house? Can I list it for you, or I'd be interested in buying it? And they said that they had received a lowball offer from an investor. And I said, well, let's come through and see if we make you a better offer. And sure enough, it worked out. So that, in terms of, I kind of view that as an estate sale, where the estate, whatever, was going to liquidate the house.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing for maybe agents to think about, though, is as they're trying to figure out how to prospect, that maybe that side of things with the, you can see the estate sale ads, like maybe that's a great kind of angle to come in with. So
yeah. Sometimes it might be too late when they're already having the actual estate sale. They've probably got plans already, but I don't do this as much anymore. But just good old fashioned door knocking works. And for agents, regular agents like myself, you are competing sometimes against the wholesalers who have perfected the art of reaching out to people that are likely sellers, maybe behind in their taxes, or they're in pre-foreclosure, or reverse mortgages, maybe they're going to, that type of situation. But yeah, there are opportunities out there beyond just what's on the MLS or what's on the market to find things like this kind of, that are off the beaten path, so to speak. So absolutely a great way to pick stuff up.
Yeah, cool. So what do you look for when you're looking for a flip?
A house that I know can sell on the back end. So I always look for something that's in a good neighborhood. And when I say good neighborhood, that doesn't mean it's in like a nice neighborhood. It just means a neighborhood that will attract buyers. So I always think, just in terms of business, I try to leave all emotion out of it. Whether I'm buying the flip for myself or representing somebody buying a property. And I just say, okay, so there's 3 cars in the front yard. They haven't mowed the lawn in 6 weeks, and there's 2 dumpster loads of trash in the backyard. Those are easy things to fix. It'd take very minimal amounts of money. But look where this thing is. It's located right next to, down the street from a good elementary school. It's close to the shopping center. It's not on a major highway, but yet it has good freeway access. So I just think, okay, so who's going to want this house 6 months from now? And I think that is something, if you can get it cheap enough, and and then I run pro formas or spreadsheets of what I think my numbers will be for the renovation side, and I just spit out the formula. And if I think it works, I go after it pretty aggressively, just because I know. Being a realtor, I know what people are looking for. They want nice, clean homes in safe neighborhoods where they can raise their kids, or whether they have kids or not. We're just a nice place to call home. So that's it. I know that's not real specific in terms of what my formula is.
Helps, yeah. I think that helps. How much do you, if you don't mind me asking, you can tell me no if you don't want to answer it, but how much do you want to make off of it to have it be worth it? Is it dollar amount, or is it?
Yeah, the dollar amounts have changed because the market has jumped so much. But when I first started flipping 10 years ago, I would always say, if this doesn't pencil at least $15,000 or $20,000, it's probably not worth doing. Only because, and trust me, I have made less than 15 or 20. I've lost $15,000 or $20,000 on flips too. I've lost more than that on one, but a lot of times you can have $3,000 to $5,000 mistakes or unexpected things. This furnace actually is not good. That's $4,000. Or this roof, we thought it was good, turns out it's not. That's a $7,500. Those types of things. So I would always back in the day say it's got to pencil at least 15 or 20. When the amounts of money I spend on my flips these days has gone up considerably. So I really wanted to pencil a minimum of more like 30 or 40. When I say pencil, knowing that, worst case scenario, it's still going to make that. Because it's just so time consuming. I think the number one misconception with flipping is it's not easy, and it's really, really labor intensive, and it just takes up a ton of time. So that's the one thing I would say, just to, your followers and anybody that does it, is be ready to be in it for the long haul, because you have to get across the finish line. You can't just stop halfway and say, this is too hard. I mean, you're screwed, right? You have to finish it, get it on the market, and get it sold.
Yeah. How long would you say you're in how long do you pencil time? Like 3 months, 2 months?
So my turn time used to average about 4.5 months. That was from closing on the purchase, getting all my guys in, getting it done, getting it staged, and then allowing, roughly 45 days, a week or two of showings, and then getting under contract with somebody's loan, closing in 30 days. I used to be able to, pretty consistently, it was about 4.5 months. That's now more like 6 or 7. Part of that is because, several things. It's harder to get labor these days. You have to pay more for it. Things just take longer. Plus when you're doing more high-end flips, or just ones that are more involved, just dealing with lumber shortages and those types of things. And then you're just simply spending more money and doing more with the remodel. So I'd say between 6 and 7 months is kind of my average.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. So you probably, I guess if you're doing 5 a year, you probably have a couple going on. I mean, I know the neighbors, those two.
Yeah. I have those two right now. Actually, those are the only two I currently have on the books. I just sold one in a town called Provo, which is where, if any of your followers know where Brigham Young University is, that's where it's located. And that was a cool little duplex project. It was actually a pretty good sized home, and we just finished that and sold it about 3.5 weeks ago. So we had 3 for a while, but I always there's guys that are obviously do far more volume than I do, and they have 8 to 10 going, and they have huge crews. But I typically have no more than 2 or 3 at once.
Okay, yeah, those guys are probably more like general contractors or something.
Yeah, or they're just really good, and I think they have general contractors working for them, and yeah, they have a really good system down.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I am licensed in Utah to do lending, so some of my people are already in Utah, but then there is the great exodus from California to Utah. So I always like to have people there that I like and trust to refer to. So do you have a favorite area that you love in your area?
Yeah, I think some of the coolest parts of Salt Lake probably are, if you're young or you don't need a huge 3-car garage and you don't mind living in a little more of an urban feel, probably one of those popular parts of Salt Lake is what's called Sugar House. And that's kind of south of downtown a little bit and a little bit east. And Sugar House, it also, you kind of get a lot of the University of Utah, I was gonna say crowd, not necessarily the students, but it's just a really fun area. Sugar House Park is a really great part of Salt Lake. It's just a huge regional park. People love to go and work out there. And there's just a lot of fun shops and bars and restaurants and whatnot. That's a really fun part of town. I also really like the Mill Creek and Holiday part of Salt Lake County. And that is a little bit more your traditional suburban feel. And I have a lot of clients that buy homes in those areas. Do a lot in Sugar House as well. But people that have families or, just want your more traditional suburban house, Holiday and Mill Creek are really, really nice areas as well.
Is there new construction in those areas, or are those older parts?
There is, but the unique thing about Salt Lake is you are landlocked because it's a valley. And so you have the Wasatch Mountains on the east and the Ochre Mountains on the west. And so most of the open land that's left in Salt Lake County is on the west side. And they are building like crazy. And there's really, really nice neighborhoods all over the western part of Salt Lake County. On the east side, what you'll see more of, Liz, is like a developer will buy up 3 old homes it's maybe an 1.5 acre parcel and then put some townhomes on it, or maybe, somebody builds a really nice, large single family home. That's the majority of the development you see on the east side. Sometimes it's maybe a little bit bigger than that, but there's just not huge chunks of land remaining on the east side of Salt Lake. And also one of the reasons why the prices are higher.
On the east side, you mean?
On the east side, yeah. And they're high everywhere, but there's a little bit more land available in the western part of Salt Lake County, and then in like the southern end of Utah County as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, so how can people get a hold of you? Well, actually, first I have a question about when you did the flipping, did you have a mentor or a coach? Or I know
Good question.
On Instagram now that do flips. So did you just like figure it out as you go, or did you?
No, that's a great question. So I got to first of all, give credit to my buddy Sean Hassett. I don't even know if he's an Instagram guy, but I met him when I lived in Vegas, and very sharp guy. He had started doing house flips. This would have been in 2007, 2008. This was during the middle of the crash when things were going south, and Vegas just got destroyed. People were getting foreclosed on left and right. Anyways, he was flipping houses, and I said, Sean, you got to teach me how to do this. And he's like, look, man, I've spent a lot of time. I don't just give away all my secrets. But he let me be a kind of a minority investor with him. So I learned a little bit, just kind of watching what he did. And I invested just real minimal amounts of money with him. And then I learned a little bit more. And then when I got to Salt Lake, I just talked to different people in the real estate industry. And then eventually when I bought my very first house, you did just kind of have to jump in and figure it out as you go. And I've had some really good contractors that have worked for me over the years. And a guy named Tom McCauley has been really good to me. He helped me on probably 20 of my first 40 homes and just was patient with me on the construction side because I do not have a construction background. And he's a good friend and been very, very cool to me over the years. So, and there's a lot of other people I should be giving credit to, but that's kind of how I figured it out and kind of went from there.
Kind of both, a little mentoring, but a lot of figuring out too.
Yes, and making a lot of stupid mistakes and wasting a lot of money and learning things the hard way. But that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's how you learn, and that's how it is. So,
For sure.
People want to move to Utah, or the people that are there need a realtor. I think you're awesome. How would they get a hold of you?
Well, if you're an Instagrammer, at Matt Nielson Realtor, MattNielson, and then the word realtor. So look me up there. That's probably the easiest, or you can just mattnielsonrealtor.com is my website. Go there, and then that'll have my personal information. You can send me an email or give me a call on the phone. I'm pretty good at answering my phone still. It's not that I'm so busy I don't have time for new clients. So I'm always looking to build my business and engage more with people.
Awesome. Okay. Well, and I'll tag you in all of this too. But yeah, get your time. I think it's fun to connect and meet in real life, sort of. I mean, this way. So.
No, absolutely. I've been impressed with what you've got going on, Liz, and your presence on Instagram is fantastic. So thanks for reaching out to me.
Yeah, it's fun. So anyway, cool. Okay.
All righty.